Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. The intelligence community, President Trump's FBI, and Central Intelligence Agency, in addition to the NSA, other intel agencies, and Tulsi Gabbard's Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, all are a part of perhaps unraveling what's going on with an international component, a potential foreign policy correlation with a chaotic, messy 2020 election in numerous states, including Georgia. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. This is huge. Check this out.
Follow up on that regarding Fulton County. Can you explain Tulsi Gabbard's role in DOJ activity? Could you please explain Tulsi Gabbard's role in DOJ activity regarding the Fulton County search?
What do you mean her role?
It was reported that
she happened to be present in Atlanta. I mean, yes, I saw the same photos you did. I mean, she doesn't work for the Department of Justice or the FBI. She's an extraordinarily important part of this administration. This administration coordinates everything we do as a group. And so I think her presence shouldn't be, there shouldn't be questioned. Of course, I mean, that's a big part of her job. And so the fact that she was present in Atlanta that day, is something that shouldn't surprise anybody.
Sean Maxwell.
So Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, was at the Fulton County, the FBI raid at the election office. This is an Atlanta News First article. Fulton County admits to verifying 350,000 votes in 2020 without poll workers' signatures. You scroll down and we have an admission. We do not dispute the tapes were not signed. It was a violation of the rule. They should have done it. Okay. Procedures have been updated. People are taking this very seriously. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is that nobody is taking it seriously at the Wall Street Journal or the Atlantic or anywhere else. The newspaper, Wall Street Journal, said yet an error by poll workers isn't a reason to throw out tens or hundreds of thousands of ballots cast by Georgians who did nothing wrong. I agree with that. That's not the issue. The issue, however, is that ballots in Georgia, according to an Associated Press article, ballots in Georgia are never signed. It was the tabulator tapes from scanners used to count votes during early in-person voting for the 2020 general election that poll workers failed to sign. This has been viewed by one politician as a clerical error. This is, of course, not a clerical error. Not only a clerical error. Okay, Fulton County admits verifying votes without poll workers' signatures. The reason that tabulation, the tabulation tapes are essentially receipts printed from ballot machines that help to verify the number of voters. To help to verify the number of voters matches the number of votes. They are a key piece of the verification and certification process in every election across the state. Okay. Georgia law states that a poll manager and 2 witnesses be present for the printing, checking, and signing of each tape from the machines. Okay, this is a problem for a number of reasons. These are rules and regulations. Okay, these rules exist to ensure that fraud doesn't take place. The very fact that people say, well, there's no fraud that occurred. We don't have any evidence of criminal activity. Yes, this is true. It's also true that 5 years after a 2021 assessment that the elections were messy but not fraudulent, the article starts off here, a Fox 5 article. Election processes, okay, in most populous county were badly managed, sloppy, and chaotic, but there was no evidence of fraud, says an independent monitor. Okay, that independent monitor didn't know that 315,000 votes in 2020 were signed with were allowed to be counted without signatures. Georgia Republican Burt Jones and his allies slam opponents, and you have Burt Jones, Georgia Republican, emphasized it incorrect. Okay, so it was actually a correct claim, but you have here Jones was one of 16 Georgia Republicans who declared themselves electors in 2020, even though Biden won a state. This, of course, was allowed JFK. There's numerous articles in the Federalist and other publications that say there's a precedent for alternate electors as lawsuits and challenges are taking place. And the Supreme Court also stated just recently that ballot and election challenges have standing, or that they can pursue ballot challenges. Officials or even politicians can actually sue and pursue these ballot challenges to election results. But anyway, here you have a really interesting development. This is a Lawfare article. Anything's possible. Another one of MAGA World's favorite conspiracy theories could also explain Gabbard's trip to Fulton County. This one promoted by personalities ranging from the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, to one-time Trump lawyer Sidney Powell, asserts, also without evidence, the Venezuelan... Okay, so the machines that are linked to Venezuela. The Guardian reported in November that federal investigators were examining these claims. The theory gained traction after the indictment of Nicolas Maduro. Ed Martin, the multi-titled Deputy Associate Attorney General who heads up the Justice Department's Weaponization Working Group, shared with emphasis an ex-post saying that the deposed Venezuelan leader could, quote, plead to lesser charges by proffering evidence that the 2020 election was stolen. Venezuela's imagined interference with the Fulton County vote would provide the connection to national security needed to justify the involvement of the Director of National Intelligence. So you have messy, sloppy, chaotic, just finding out that 300,000+ votes, the tabulation of these votes were not signed and verified. This is a problem. These rules exist for a reason, to prevent these questions. You can't simply say, oh, you couldn't find anything, when slowly but surely every year, years later, you're finding out that this didn't happen and that didn't happen and this wasn't signed and that wasn't signed. Furthermore, the same wonderful, morally superior, highly educated people who think that this is complete conspiracy theory tried desperately to find truth in the Steele dossier, which was literally purchased by Hillary Clinton and lawyers and the DNC. Imagine if Rudy Giuliani and President Trump purchased a dossier and then John Ratcliffe used it, like John Brennan did, to investigate the incoming Democratic president in 28. They ain't going to win in 28, I'm just saying. Imagine if the tables were turned. Here you have the Guardian article, Trump's DOJ investigating unfounded claims Venezuela helped steal. Okay, discredited. It's discredited, don't you know? Theory could strengthen Trump's military action against Maduro. There was a $25 million reward to arrest Maduro by the Biden administration. Federal investigators have been interviewing multiple people who are pushing unfounded claims that Venezuela helped steal 2020 for Trump, The Guardian has learned. Okay, so you had the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, had a 2-hour meeting just recently, okay, about a month, 2 months after Nicolas Maduro has been arrested. He just had a 2-hour meeting with Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez. So what are the chances that John Ratcliffe, who, by the way, is awaiting an indictment, as the entire country is awaiting an indictment of John Brennan, his predecessor. We went from John Brennan to John Ratcliffe, thank God. We went from James Clapper to Tulsi Gabbard, thank God. We went from James Comey to Kash Patel, thank God. And I say thank God because you have a McCarthy-era Red Scare created by people who wanted you to believe that Trump was working with Russia. That's the most absurd conspiracy theory of all time. There is zero evidence of that. Zero evidence. Brennan himself stated, I don't do evidence, I do intelligence. And the Mueller report, the first 20 pages, completely exonerates Trump. Contacts can be used to implicate the Clintons or anyone else with Uranium One on the Democratic side. Contacts are not a reason to investigate anyone or to accuse anyone. But there was no evidence, and you have here the probable cause, Title 52, United States Code 20701 and 20511. This is a search warrant regarding the probable cause of potential crimes committed. not only in this state, but in numerous states of the country. Hit subscribe to this channel. There's a foreign policy component, apparently. This is huge. Go to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. The CIA is almost certainly involved.